Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet, voice you know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution, and also in part by Xyway brand fungicide, where you get an unfair advantage. Always read and follow label directions. Good morning, everyone. The next installment of BOI is in, and you're probably going to like it. The Trump administration has announced businesses such as farm operations will not face any penalties or fines for not filing beneficial ownership information, or BOI, with the Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. Businesses such as farm operations will not have to worry about providing ownership information to the Treasury Department Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, or FinCEN as it's called, after the Trump administration announced it is scrapping the deadline and penalties for the rule. Treasury officials released details on Sunday stating they will waive enforcement penalties and will not enforce the beneficial ownership information rule against U.S. citizens or domestic companies going forward. A new rule will be forthcoming. Treasury will further be issuing a proposed rulemaking that will narrow the scope of the rule to foreign reporting companies only, the department stated. This is a victory for common sense, said Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. This action is part of President Trump's bold agenda to unleash American prosperity by reining in burdensome regulations, in particular for small businesses that are the backbone of the American economy. Today's weather brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's Joel with the forecast.
Let's take a look at your latest ag weather forecast as an active weather pattern kicks off this evening across Ohio. Today, we'll see temperatures hover near 60 thanks to a steady southerly flow with cloudy skies sticking around into the night. But then a warm front moves in, bringing periods of rain, mild temps in the 50s, and even a few thunderstorms along the way. Winds will strengthen, gusts reaching 30 miles an hour across the state, with rainfall totaling up to a third of an inch expected in western Ohio, while the far east stays mostly dry until Wednesday. Tomorrow, gusty winds up to 40 miles an hour will be a key factor as colder air moves in behind that low. And come Wednesday night, temperatures will drop below freezing once again, leading to scattered snow showers into Thursday morning. Friday, mostly cloudy with a few breaks of sunshine and seasonable temperatures. Then another system moves in by afternoon, bringing rain to the south and snow to the north. The weekend starts with partly cloudy skies Saturday. We'll see overnight snow showers lasting into midday Sunday, and then a southwest wind shift brings warmer air and clearer skies on Monday. That should last through a good portion of next week. For the Ohio AgNet, I'm Joel Norwood.
And thanks, Joel. Let's check in with Dusty from Commodity Classic. He has an update on exports.
I'm joined today by Jim Sutter. He is the CEO of the Soybean Export Council. Jim, exports, a huge part of the value that comes back to U.S. soybean farmers, and a lot of work you do in different fronts. In particular, with the Ohio AgNet, we cover a lot of Ohio agriculture and a little bit diverse in where those beans go, but talk about the work and the importance of trade and what's been going on lately.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about this, Dusty, because I love to do that. And it's so important. You know, almost 60% of the U.S. soybean crop gets exported as beans, meal, or oil, kind of the basic soy products. So international marketing is really important for soybean farmers. So Ohio in particular is kind of unique, and they grow both commodity soybeans and also specialty soybeans. And one of the things that I like to say when I'm talking to audiences around the world about the U.S. soy industry is that we are a great supplier of choice. And by that I mean we've got farmers that will grow tight IP specialty crops as well as commodity soybeans. Well, we also have exporters that will handle those and export them to markets all around the world. So I really like to make the point that we are a great supplier of choice, which kind of differentiates us versus some of the other origins that are big soybean exporters, because not every origin has the setup to be able to do that. I guess one of the other things I would say, and I think some farmers in Ohio are growing these high oleic soybeans, and those are something that, you know, it's kind of very typical of a new product that's getting started. One year you grow a little more than the market needs, and then the demand, or there's not enough demand to take it off, and then the next year it's vice versa. So I would just say to farmers that have done that and maybe had less than an ideal experience, hang in there. We're seeing good demand for both the meal and the oil from high oleic soybeans in markets around the world, and I know they are here in the U.S. too. And so be a little patient, but continue trying to grow this thing, because I think it's going to be a good crop. It's going to be a way to help diversify markets and diversify the way we market U.S. soy. And that's another thing that's very high on our priority list, is to be able to diversify markets. Now, I got to mention China, because any talk about soybeans and needs to include China. China's the biggest buyer of soy in the world, takes 60% of all the soy that is traded internationally. 60% is an important number when we talk about soybeans. But from the U.S., used to be almost 60%. Now we're down to about 40% of our soy is going to China. So we're happy to be diversifying, but we're also cognizant that they are a huge market and they would be about impossible to replace. So we've been there for over 40 years. 1982, the U.S. soy industry started, farmers and others started doing work in China. So we continue to treat them as very important customers, but we are trying to diversify in markets all around the world. We touch about 85 markets with the work that we do on an annual basis.
And thank you, Jim and Dusty, for that update. Well, commodity farmers should expect application forms to start arriving soon for $10 billion in emergency economic aid as USDA works to meet a deadline for distributing the funds to producers. Ag Secretary Brooke Rollins spoke Sunday to farmers at the Commodity Classic in Denver. She announced the creation of the Economic Commodity Assistance Program for the $10 billion in economic payments expected to go out to farmers in March. Ag Secretary announced details of the new Emergency Commodity Assistance Program, or ECAP, as she spoke Sunday to a packed exhibit hall of farmers and vendors at the Commodity Classic. In the last 2 weeks since I've been on the job, we've been working very diligently and as quickly as humanly possible, understanding the urgency of getting these funds out the door, Rollins said. Our approach is guided by 3 principles. We want the process to be simple, transparent, and fast, and my team has been working to speed up this process. The $10 billion in economic aid was passed by Congress in December and included a formula that determines how much producers will receive per acre based on the crops planted and market prices for those crops. They gave us 90 days to start distributing the first $10 billion in economic assistance, and we are on track to beat that and get the money started to move immediately in the next few weeks, Rollins said. Let's check in with Dusty. He's got another update on moving products up and down the river.
I'm joined this morning by Mike Steenhoek. Mike is Executive Director of the Soy Transportation Coalition. Mike, thanks so much for your time today. We are at Commodity Classic. Let's take a look back at some of the big things going on, though, within what your responsibilities are and the Mississippi River, something that we have talked a lot about the last couple of years due to water levels, being able to get traffic both northbound and southbound on that body of water. Where do we stand today?
Yeah, we obviously, when you look at the northern parts of the Mississippi River, we could receive some more rainfall. That would be very helpful to the cause. This is the time of the year that you really want water levels to get elevated so that when you enter into the dry months like summer, like fall, you're entering that from a position of strength, not from a position of weakness. So we would like to see some additional precipitation that part of the river. Further south, we're in a better position, but we do need to have some additional precipitation because not only do we use the river for southbound movements for the export market of soybeans and grain, but we also have northbound movements that occur in March and April when it comes to fertilizer. So still a very important part of our supply chain.
When it comes to maintenance of those channels, dredging has been going on. Does that still continue this time of year?
Yeah, we always have dredging that's going on and sediment that will build up. And so that's just a continual, process. And so, having those assets be well positioned, well funded to be able to do that, that's a really important. It's not sexy, but dredging is one of those elements of maintaining an effective supply chain.
Another waterway, I guess we could talk of that is very important, it's gained headlines, is the Panama Canal. And one of the issues there, water levels there as well. But it sounds like maybe there's some good news over the last couple months.
Yeah, so in late 2023, early 2024, you didn't see a lot of bulk grain vessels transiting the Panama Canal because of low water levels. And so they had to really restrict the number of transits per day. And those limited slots ended up accruing to those freights that paid higher tolls, and things like container vessels and automobile carriers and liquefied natural gas and cruise ships, of course, that pay a higher toll than what agriculture pays. So during last year, during the rainy season, which is really, start of May to mid-December, they did receive considerable amount of precipitation. They continue to maintain, the Canal Authority, some of their water conservation measures, which have been beneficial. So at the result, we're now back to the normal 36 to 40 transits per day, which is obviously good news for our industry and others.
Very good. Again, my guest today, Mike Steenhoek, Executive Director of the Soy Transportation Coalition. Mike, thanks so much for all your work.
Hey, it's good to be with you. Thanks, Dusty.
And thanks, Dusty. Stay tuned. Back with more after this.
Biodiesel isn't just a fuel, it's a game changer for your engine, your wallet, and your farm. Cleaner burning and efficient, biodiesel enhances engine life, power, and fuel economy. Plus, it delivers real value, adding $1.33 to every bushel of soybeans grown. That's 13% more value per bushel, directly tied to the biofuels market. Ready to turn soybeans into power and drive with purpose? Learn how at soyohio.org.
Attention Ohio businesses. Join the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation for the 2025 Ohio Safety Congress and Expo, April 16th through the 18th at the Greater Columbus Convention Center. Connect with industry experts, have hands-on training sessions, explore cutting-edge safety solutions with over 300 exhibitors. Whether you're looking to reduce risks, enhance productivity, or build a stronger safety culture, the Ohio Safety Congress is for you. Register at www.ohiosafetycongress.com. It's free. And don't forget, on Wednesday, powered by Soy Biodiesel, we'll be heading to Clark County Fairgrounds to the Champions Center, where the Wilmington College Aggies 67th annual judging contest will be held. They're expecting more than 1,500 high school students for this year's event. Today's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. Like information on marketing your soybeans to LDC? Give them a call at 574-566-2113. New crop December corn futures closed at $4.51 1/4, down 3 3/4. May corn futures didn't think twice about sinking past the 100-day moving average at $4.63, a level that seemed promising in terms of support. This further emphasizes that the trade at this point is largely ignoring technical or fundamental indicators as investors rush to remove what they are now perceiving as very risky corn longs from their portfolios. Corn export inspections for the week ended February 28 showed improvement up to 53.2 million bushels. This was directly in line with the 5-year average for the week. Inspections through 24-25 thus far are still holding on to a 32% lead over 23-24. Also, the USDA will update the market on corn ground for ethanol during the month of January. Through December, the U.S. plants have used 1.86 billion bushels of corn to make fuel ethanol, 1.5% more than September through December of 2023. In the soybean complex, soybean futures were trading slightly higher on the open Sunday evening, but the day traders arrived from the weekend ready to resume hitting the sell button on ag commodities, and soybeans were no exception. Soybean export inspections for the week ended February 27th were unsurprisingly low at 25.5 million bushels, the lowest total since late September. Brazilian soybeans are currently offered for at 60 cents per bushel less, FOB versus U.S. ports, not accounting for ocean freight differences either. The soybean export program, in terms of inspections, is still running a small lead over expectations. And in other demand news, the USDA will also release its fats and oils report and will offer an update in the crush NOPA data. Wheat markets again followed corn's example, or vice versa, and traded lower for the 6th straight session with 8 down days out of the past 10. Today's markets brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Overnight at the open, March corn down 2.5 at 437 3/4. December new crop down 3/4 at 450.5. March beans down 8 1/4 at $9.90. November $10.12 1/4, down 6.5. Wheat has seen two-sided trade. July wheat now down 1/2 at 560 3/4. September 576 3/4, down 1/4 cent. In livestock, April cattle 192.25, down 40. June down 67 at $188.10. The August down 75 at $187.17. Hogs are better. April up 2 cents at 83.70. May up 25 cents, 87.67. And June up 32 cents at 95.35. April feeder cattle, $272.05, down 95. May, $270.20, down 92. And August feeder cattle down 70 cents at $273.35. Thanks for joining us. This is the Ohio AgNet.